In this lesson, we're going to kick off this section on email sending by, well, sending an email from Node.js. The first thing we're going to do is explore the service we'll be using, and then from there, we'll actually write a little bit of code to send our very first email from our Node application. Then throughout the section, we'll actually set up emails that get sent as users do things like create their account and delete their account. But for the moment, let's just see what it takes in terms of code and modules to actually get this done. Now, when it comes to picking a service for sending emails, you have plenty of options available to you, and the one that we're going to be using in this course is called SendGrid. We can find it by heading over to sendgrid.com inside of the browser, and we're going to have to create an account and set it up before we'll be able to send emails from Node.js. Now, one of the reasons I'm picking SendGrid is that there is a nice free tier, so you can get started integrating email into your app before you ever need to pay, and it also doesn't require you to have a custom domain to set up. Other email services typically do, even to just test things out. So with SendGrid, we'll be able to start completely for free, and there's no need to provide anything like a credit card. So if we head over to their pricing page real quick, we can take a look at the plan that we'll be using for the class. It is the free plan. We get 40,000 emails for the first 30 days as a sort of trial period. Then we can send 100 a day thereafter forever. Now that might be okay for a real application, but it seems unlikely. If you were creating a real application and you were charging your customers, you would probably upgrade to this other plan for $15 a month, where you could send 100,000 emails a month, and that should be more than enough as you're getting started. So once again, the free plan is going to allow us to send emails from Node.js forever. There's just a restriction after a certain point in time. Let's go ahead and actually create an account down below on the pricing page. We've selected that free option, and down here we have try for free. We're going to sign up for an account. SendGrid is going to give us an API key, and we'll be able to use that from Node.js to actually send those emails. The setup process here can be a bit confusing at first, so we'll work through it together. We'll pick a username, down below a password, and we'll do the same thing down below for confirming, and then finally an email address. Now from there, we just confirm we're not a robot and agree to those terms of service. There's no need to have a custom domain or provide a credit card or anything like that. Right here, we have to provide just a little more information, which I'll take a quick moment to go through. And for the website, you can just say something like no site yet. Down below, you can just say you're the owner of your non-existent company. And then we just need to pick how many emails we plan to send. We'll just do 0 to 100,000. Next up, how many employees? Well, obviously just us, and then we can get started. Now from here, it's offering up some suggestions as to how we can get started with the service. Down below, there are a few different ways we can send our first email. We can send it using their API. We can integrate with popular applications like WordPress, or we can build and send marketing campaigns if we were creating an email list for our service maybe before it launches. In this case, to send one-off emails from Node.js, we want to use their web API, so right here, I'll click Start. Now we have a web API and an SMTP relay. We'll be using their web API because that's going to allow us to take advantage of the SendGrid NPM module, which we can use to send emails. So down below, I'm going to pick Choose, and from here it's going to walk us through a little wizard allowing us to get set up. We're going to integrate with Node.js, the first option available, and then to make sure things are actually working, it's going to walk us through a 5-step process to getting the SendGrid service integrated into the Node app, and we're actually going to work through this in Visual Studio Code. Let's go ahead and work through this together. The first step is to make sure we have Node. That's an easy one. The next one is to create an API key. So this is something we're going to provide in Node.js when we send the email, and that will allow SendGrid to associate the email we're sending with our account. And we have to provide an API key. You can't use SendGrid anonymously. So down below, we can pick a name for our first API key. I'll go ahead and use something like Task App or Task Manager App or anything that makes sense for you. Right here, we'll go ahead and create that key, and down below, it's going to show the key to us. We want to take a moment to copy that to the clipboard, as we're going to need it from inside of Node.js. Now, to get started over in Visual Studio Code, we're going to create a new directory in the source folder, and we're also going to create a new file. So for the moment, we can actually collapse all of the other directories in the source folder, and we can close all of the open editors. We're going to start with just a single file. So right here in source, we'll create a new folder. I'm going to call this emails. And inside of the emails folder, we'll create a single file, which I'll call account.js. So this will be the file that contains all of the code for sending emails related to user accounts. So for things like signing up or deleting your account. Now, for the moment, we're not going to worry about actually doing that. We're just going to add a little code that sends a test email. Let's get started by just creating a variable to store that API key. So right here, a constant, I can call it SendGrid API key, and we'll just set it equal to a string, and right inside, we'll paste the API key that was generated for us. Now, from here, we want to go ahead and actually install the npm module for SendGrid, as we can use its methods to send emails. Now, over inside of the instructions in the browser, they're essentially doing the exact same thing. They're walking you through the necessary steps to get all of this done, though we'll do this as part of the video. Now, the only major difference is step number 3. They're creating what's known as an environment variable to store the API key. Don't worry, we're going to get to this in about 3 videos. We'll learn how to get this out of our code so it never winds up on something like GitHub, but for now, it's perfectly fine to leave it where it is. We'll address that shortly. So over inside of Visual Studio Code, we want to take a quick moment to install the SendGrid npm module so we can actually use it to send emails. So down below, what we're going to do is use clear to clear the output, and we'll be using npm I with the following. The module name is @SendGrid /mail, and the latest version that is right here, 6.3.1. So let's take a quick moment to install that, and up above on line 1 of account.js, we'll be requiring it. So const sgmail, which is the common variable name you'll see in the SendGrid documentation. Its value comes from using require with that module, SendGrid /mail. And on sgmail, which is an object itself, we have methods for actually sending emails. Now, before we can send an email, we have to let the SendGrid module know we want to work with this API key. That's what's going to make sure that things work as expected. We can do that using sgmail.set API key, and we pass to this our API key, which I have stored in my variable up above. That's SendGrid API key. Perfect. Now that we have the API key set up, when we send an email, SendGrid will know it's associated with our account, and down below, we do that using sgmail.send. This allows us to send an individual email, and we pass to it an object, and on this object, we specify everything about the email: who it's to, who it's from, the subject of the email, and the actual text content. Right here, let's go ahead and specify that information. So I'll send it to myself, Andrew@mead.io, and I'll send it from that same account. Next up, we have the subject line for the email, and I'll go ahead and say, this is my first creation. And then below that, we have the text for the email. So the text is going to be something along the lines of, let's just say, I hope this one actually gets to you. Perfect. Now, in addition, we can provide an HTML property to set up a styled HTML email if we wanted to, but we're not going to worry about that. We'll just stick with basic text for the moment. Now we can save account.js, and to actually send this email off, all we need to do is run this script. So down below in the terminal, what I'm going to do is use node, then source /emails /account.js to send the email off. Right here, I run the script, the script seems to work successfully, and now we can go ahead and see if it actually worked via two ways. One, we can use the SendGrid interface, and two, we can go ahead and actually open up our email accounts. So down below, as you work through this little tutorial, it eventually gets to the point where it asks if you've sent a test email, and it's going to verify that it actually went through, that you were able to correctly send the email with your account. Go ahead and try to go through the verification process. Right here, I am going to make sure that it actually did work, and we can see that it did work. So the email that we sent from Node.js was received by the SendGrid server and sent off to the Gmail server, which is where my email is hosted. Now I'll go ahead and take a quick moment to pull that up. So I'm going to open my email account. Right here, it should be loading up in just a second, and I would expect a couple of emails inside of there. I have a couple greeting me to the SendGrid platform. Then I have this email, which I sent to myself right here. The subject line, this is my first creation, and if I crack it open, I have the correct text as well. Now, this email might not have made it to your inbox. It might have made its way to your spam folder, and you'll also see this right here, a really big warning letting you know that this email might be spam. Now, if you read the error message here, it says, "This may be a spoofed message. This message claims to have been sent from your account, but Andrew Mead Mail couldn't verify the actual source." And Gmail's right. I just typed two addresses over here. Now, to should be able to be anyone, but from should have to be an account that I actually own. Now, I do own that account, but Gmail does not know that I was the one to actually call the send method in Node.js. Now, to address this and to get SendGrid working reliably, all you have to do is verify your email. They sent you a welcome email to confirm your email address, and the next step would be to have a real domain you link with your account. So if I'm creating an application, I would buy a domain. I actually do own mead.io. I would link that with my SendGrid account, and that would make sure that other services like Yahoo Mail, Outlook, Gmail, and others know that I actually have rights to send emails from addresses ending in @mead.io, and we would no longer see those warnings. You can learn how to link your custom domain to SendGrid in the documentation, though buying a domain is not a requirement for this course. We'll still be able to send all of the emails necessary, but for the moment they will have that warning. Once you actually purchase a domain and link it, once you're creating a real professional application you plan on publishing, all that will go away and you'll have a nice, reliable email solution. So now we have our first email sent, and you should be seeing it, whether it's in your inbox or your spam folder. And we were able to verify that everything with SendGrid worked as well. In the next lesson, we're going to start to send emails based off of the user's interaction with our application. I'm excited to get to that, so let's go ahead and jump right in to the next one.